Hello there. This is Caroline with the Expat Interviews. And as always, I get an opportunity to speak with the most awesome and amazing people that are just all over the globe doing amazing and wonderful things. And it's such a pleasure to be able to share their story with you. Today, I have the fabulous Antonia Fifi, who, when you hear her story, you will truly be inspired of how she got from point A to point B. Thank you so much, Toni, for being here, Antonia.
Thank you,
So,
Caroline, so much for inviting me.
so let's just begin. You are originally from the Caribbean, and you are somewhere totally different. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay, so I am from Trinidad and Tobago. My husband and I both left Trinidad with our two children, Alessandra and Lucas. Alessandra is 12 and Lucas is now 10. And we left just a little over 2 years ago to come to Toronto, Canada. We came because Lucas has some developmental delays, and he's neurologically atypical. So we wanted to bring him to a school over here, just to give him the very best, so that I knew that later on, it was just better for his development. So we came to bring him to school here, and we sort of left everything in Trinidad and picked up and moved to Toronto.
And moving from a Caribbean country to way up north in the cold, what was that transition like for you, especially with the kids?
Well, I had lived in Canada for about 10 years prior, because I actually came as a teenager to come to boarding school here. And then I went to University of Toronto and I did commerce. And then I stayed longer and I did a degree in fashion design, and then worked for a bit before I moved back to Trinidad. So Toronto really is like a second home for me. But of course, my children had never lived outside of Trinidad. They've traveled quite a bit, but they never lived out of Trinidad. And my husband had predominantly, although he's originally, he's born in England and lived there till he's about 11, but then he spent, most of his formative years and his adult life in the Caribbean, not just in Trinidad, but in the Caribbean. So for them, it was a bigger transition. I was nervous, actually, more so about my husband, just because he really is a creature of the sun and he doesn't really like city living either. But he has adapted really well. And my children, I thought also that I would have to, dedicate some time for them to sort of get accustomed to this new lifestyle. But they became Canadian almost the minute their feet hit the ground. They really enjoy it. They love Canada. They love the lifestyle, and they like the snow. So luckily for me, they adapted really well, because that was a concern.
Yeah, always a concern when you travel with children, how,
Yes.
although sometimes children adapt much more easily than we give them credit for, they usually are pretty good at adapting to changes like that. So you're in Canada, and your life has taken on a little bit of a bloom since you moved there. But before that, you had a business, right? In Trinidad,
Yeah.
you actually had a business.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one thing with the kids, I think they came at the right age as well, because they came into grades that were they just had the developmental age where it was still easy for them to sort of assimilate and make friends and that type of thing. But yes, I had moved back to Trinidad already about 12 years when we came back here, because I said I lived in Canada, but I had moved back to Trinidad and I was settled there for 12 years. My husband and I, just almost as soon as I moved back to Trinidad, he had moved back to Trinidad as well from the Cayman Islands. And we had been together for the whole 12 years, basically. And he was working in oil and gas all of his life. So he had, a really good position in a great company, and he was established in his job. And I had started, like I said, I did business and fashion design. So I had started a chain of women's clothing boutiques. So I was also, well established, and not really the ideal point in my life to sort of leave everything behind. Just a scarier transition when you feel like you have more to give up than when you're younger, and you can kind of move around a little more freely because you don't have the same opportunity costs. So that was particularly difficult, but I suppose, for a lot of people, I recognize a lot of people want to make the move, and it's scary because of what you have to lose or what you have to gain. And because the goal was to bring my son over here, there was just, there was nothing that was going to compare to giving him the best. So, we just did it and knew that we'd figure it out.
Yep, and I know I've been to Toronto many times. It is a very mixed culture, lots of Caribbean culture. So,
Absolutely.
expatting
Yeah,
there is not a big culture shock per se for adults,
exactly.
because there's just about
Mhm.
every culture you can imagine there. So
Mhm.
that is really a cool place. Now,
Mhm.
you are a very successful blogger. How did that start? How did you just start
Yeah,
posting?
even when I think of this story, I think like this is kind of crazy, because the truth is that, even 3 years ago, and now I think like, what rock was I living under? Because 3 years ago, I didn't even really understand how blogging made money. And I just wasn't familiar with the concept at all. But I had a girlfriend over here that I went to business school with that was always, super fashionable, and we sort of kept in touch, very loosely. I would see her post on Instagram, that type of thing. And when we both graduated from business school, I went on and I pursued fashion, and she went on into business. She went into marketing. So I had noticed that she had sort of started a fashion blog herself, and I asked her about it. I had approached her originally when I was moving to Toronto, because I wanted to find out. I was planning on transitioning with my clothing store. I wanted to bring it over with me, and I wanted to get an idea from her, because she was, sort of a fashionable girl living in Toronto in the marketing field. What approach she thought was best, and she's actually the one that recommended to me, like, get into blogging, start a blog. And at the time, I thought it was sort of a crazy idea, but I knew that at the very least, I would get some traction, just get my name out there, so that for my clothing boutique and for my brand, I would get some exposure. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start this just to sort of get the ball rolling. And so I started just before we left Trinidad. And yeah, luckily she'd been in the industry for a while, and she was, she kind of explained to me about rates and just, sort of the technical aspect of blogging. And it's just developed from there.
And now you are a superstar blogger. That's really wonderful. That's really
Not
wonderful.
superstar yet, but it's doing really well. Yeah, I'm super grateful, and still sort of can't believe that at this stage in my life that I've started over and that I'm a blogger. Even just to say that is kind of weird.
It's weird, right? So what kind of advice would you give for women, especially who maybe have, families that, because this is a really big decision. For you, it wasn't, I mean, it was a big deal, but you had already been to the country and you were familiar with it. But for someone who's kind of sitting on the fence and not, and thinking, wow, this is such a transition, to go from my country to another country and set up. What is the advice that you would give looking back and on your
I
transition?
suppose I think that having everything figured out, I think, is not where you need to be. You don't need to have a perfect plan in place. For me, when I left Trinidad, I said, like, I remember saying that I'm going to go over there and I'm going to try this blogging thing, and I'm going to, I'm going to build on it. I know the potential, and I'm going to build on it. I'm going to do it. And looking back now, even thinking that I said that and knowing, that it's a difficult thing, I think, like, what was I thinking? Like, where did I get all of this energy that this was going to be so easy? But the truth is that have the confidence. It's the confidence that gets you through, that allows you to do this, to do the things, whatever it is that you dream, that you're going to go over there and you're going to set up whatever your dream is. Once you have the confidence, you don't wake up every morning and have to start over, because when we're like, our confidence is down, we sort of, every morning, it takes energy to do the same thing that we did yesterday, because we're afraid all over again. With confidence, you sort of just build organically. You build on it, and you keep growing. And once you have the confidence to achieve your dreams, which I mean, I could talk so much about sort of the things that you need to put in place to build that confidence. Because so many people say have confidence, and you think, yeah, very
Yeah,
easily
right.
said.
Yeah.
But yeah, but there's, you know, there's a process to develop that confidence. You know, the people that you keep around you, the support system, the things that you tell yourself, the mental thoughts that you even think of other people that you then internalize on yourself, that type of thing. But confidence is really the key, because the plan is not going to be effective. You're not even going to be dream big enough unless you have the confidence to execute those things.
And do you feel that for families, as in, you know, because you travel with your husband, your kids, is it a more difficult dynamic transition, or could it be the same depending on your mindset, whether you're solo or you're going with your kids, or can it be the same? I mean, the confidence, just get up, go, do it, buy your ticket, pick a country and just go?
Well, the truth is that I think that having my kids give me so much motivation to succeed, that I believe, I mean, for me, I think, you know, I have lived here as a single person, and I certainly enjoy life in Canada so much more now that I have my family. But maybe that's just, I mean, maybe that would have been anywhere in the world, that, you know, I'm just enjoying life because I love my husband, I love my kids. But certainly children, I think any mother can identify with children being their motivation to do so much in life. And so therefore, I think that coming with your kids doesn't necessarily make it harder, because they're just such a motivating factor in getting up in the morning and getting things done.
Yep, the kids do make a big difference. I am so happy to have had an opportunity to talk with you. This has really been just a quick motivational moment for me. And where can we locate your fabulous pictures on Instagram? Where are you?
Yeah, I am on Instagram. I am Toni Fifi, ToniFiFi is my handle. And yes, so you can find me there. And I'm also, my website is tonififi.com.
Okay, great. And thank you so much. You are truly an example of what it's like to not just live abroad, but thrive abroad. And lots of blessings to you and your family. Continued success with your blog. And thank you for sharing your piece of your world with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful to meet you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.